kudos to whoever was this.
Okay, so
This person
listen,
on
we're about to do a
80%.
live 66 explication. Before we do, we got to give a shout out to Kaplan for allowing free look on Kaplan content as it relates to the actual exam. If you don't have a Kaplan Q Bank as a paid supplement, I highly recommend it. The discount code is Guru10 at checkout. Okay, so let's queue up a simulated exam. Woohoo! Woohoo!
All right, let's see what we can do here. Do you want to read or do you want me to read? Or
Yeah,
how do
well,
you want to do this?
listen, it's going to be a slog, as you know. We talked about this. It's going to be a little bit of slog. So maybe we'll change duties, but I'll read and then you can tell me what you think. To make a quantitative, that's a pivot word, evaluation using the present value computation, which of the following is not needed?
Account value at the beginning of the period, time period involved, account value at the end of the period, rate of return of the portfolio. So present value computation. We need to find out what's going to be at the end. If I remember correctly, we do need a time frame and we want return. I'm going to say A, account value at the beginning of the period.
Okay, now do you want me to comment? You got that correct. So I think that's what we did last time. We're going to let you miss it if you didn't. You didn't miss that, so that's good news. But you know, we'll comment along the way. Now remember, it could have been the opposite. They could have done future value, but
Right.
Excellent. 117. Okay.
Which of the following, or sorry, go ahead. You said you were going to read and I'll do the thing.
Okay, we'll do every other one. Which of the following transaction is not included in the definition of an exempt transaction under 402B of the Uniform Securities Act? I'm not being facetious. I would actually read out loud to myself. I'd say not.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if they say at the exam, hey, other people trying to take the test, I say, well, I don't care about them. I'm just worried about myself right now. So, you know, tell them to put on their earphones. I'm joking, but you know.
Well, they do provide them. So, but yeah, I gotcha. Isolated non-insured transactions between issuers and underwriters, the sale of treasury bill to an individual client, like Dean was saying, unsolicited non-issued transaction effected through a broker dealer. So transaction is not included in an exempt. C.
Excellent.
Even though the treasury bill is an exempt security, it's not an exempt transaction.
Man, that's awesome. That's pretty awesome. That was a good one. Okay, under the anti-fraud provisions of the Investment Advisor Act of 1940, an investment advisor must disclose to clients
the association between the investment advisor and a broker dealer with whom the overall investment plan will be implemented. Sure. Let's see the rest. The number of clients with whom the advisor does business, not necessarily important. That any transactions made on the advisor's own account are consistent with the advice given to clients. If he does one but not the other, then he does have to disclose. That the advisor has never been subject to disciplinary action or censure by the SEC. Investor advisor must disclose. He has to disclose the relationship.
Excellent. A securities market investment theory that attempts to derive the expected return of an asset based on the asset's systematic risk is
the capital asset pricing model, the Monte Carlo simulation. That's not it. The efficient market hypothesis in the random walkthrough. Random walkthrough, I know, like you would always say, it's like just throw darts at whatever you want to invest in. That's not. So let's see. Market investment theory. I'm going to go with an A.
You are
capital
correct.
Asset pricing model.
You are correct. Which of the following statements about technical analysis is not, are true? My bad. Are true.
Well, good.
Technical analysis tries to identify trends and predict market changes. Technical analysis is often accomplished by reviewing data in the form of charts. 3, technical analysis looks primarily at past performance to predict future trends.
So I definitely know that looks at charts. So 2, well, the only one that doesn't have that is D. So D's out of the question. Trends and predict market changes. Yep, it does that as well. So 1 and 2 for sure. So then B is out. So it's A or C. Primarily a past performance to predict future trends. I think it does too. So C.
Excellent, excellent. Under efficient market hypothesis, does technical analysis work?
Efficient. Yes.
No.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
It says it doesn't work because everybody has that information. That's that weak form, right? By the way, that wasn't a question. That was just one I made up. So you
No,
didn't.
I know, but it might become one down the line.
Under the
So,
Uniform
okay,
Securities
okay.
Act, a person who has passed the appropriate NASA exam, there you are, but whose license has not been yet issued. Ooh, so, hopefully compliance has made this clear to you that just because you pass the thing, we still have to wait, right? Can
Yep.
participate in
Prospecting for new clients in person, prospecting for new clients by mail, accepting unsolicited orders, filing payroll report. Well, D.
Yeah, clerical, they love that clerical kind of question like this, right? So the key point about D is it's clerical and the other ones are not. Excellent. Oh my goodness. One of your clients has reached the company's mandatory retirement age of 67. He has been a participant in his employer's 401k plan, and the account is valued at $400,000. The account is funded with mutual funds and company stock. The cost basis of the stock is 25 and is currently worth 125. If we roll over the entire account into IRA, the tax treatment would be.
Well, it's not taxed. I know that it's not a taxed, but here, let's read it. Current tax at ordinary income rates on the unrealized appreciation of the company's stock, ordinary income tax on the balance when withdrawals are taken. He's not withdrawing anything. He's just rolling over. So there's no withdrawal.
That's right.
At the moment. No current tax on the portion applicable to the mutual funds, ordinary income on the cost basis on the company stock. It's not a B either. No current tax, but any withdrawals representing the gain on the company stock would be taxed as long-term capital gains. Also, there's no capital gains on 401k plans. So no current tax, but any withdrawals would be taxed as ordinary income. So D.
Excellent. Which of the following statements about 401k plans are correct? 401k plans are a type of defined benefit plan. 2, an employee's elective deferrals are made with pre-tax dollars. 3, earnings on contributions to a 401k accumulate on a tax deferred basis.
So 2 and 3 are definitely correct. Defined benefit. No, the 401k are defined contribution.
Man, you are on fire, my friend.
So 1, 2, and 2 and 3. Sorry.
Yeah.
So B.
Yeah, be careful. I'm glad you got yourself because you were starting to roll back. Just make sure you're disciplined about hitting buttons. A lot of times when I'm doing explicated exams by myself, I miss one, and it's just because I pushed the wrong button.
Right.
And hopefully we're operating from abundance, so that wouldn't be a problem. One of your clients approaches you about setting up a trust. If your client assumes the role of grantor, what additional roles may be taken?
Trustee. So B.
Right. Well, are you just saying trustee? Can he not be the
trustee and
beneficiary?
a beneficiary? He can actually do both. Trustee as the grantor. So trustee and a beneficiary.
Yeah.
Could
Do
be
we
an
want to
A.
mark you wrong, or are we going to mark you right on that one? Because you said beneficiary first, but you want me to mark you right or wrong? A is right.
Well, no, because I said first trustee, but then I said he can also be a
Oh, okay.
beneficiary.
There you
So
go. So you
trustee
weren't
and a
done. I
beneficiary.
interrupted you. Okay, I get it. I interrupted you. Okay, my bad.
No, you're good. You're
A
good.
client with limited assets seeking additional income in retirement would probably find which of the following investment choices to be the least suitable. The least suitable.
So he wants income. Insured bank CDs are good. Treasury bonds, sure, income will pay like at the time of maturity. ETFs follow the The market in a sense, I believe ETNs would not be a
You're
good
correct.
choice.
The ETNs follow the market too, but they don't, there's no real assets there. It's a dead end.
Right.
Excellent. Excellent. Under the Uniform Securities Act, which of the following statements regarding consent to service is not true? Not true.
Only applicants whose principal office is in another state need to file a consent to service of process. A consent to serve a process makes legal process served on the administrator as legally binding as process served on the registrant person personally. So what is not true? Investment advisor representative must file a consent to service of process to become registered. The consent to service of process does not need to be supplied each time registered. A is not true.
You are correct. Oh my goodness. While searching for a suitable investment for your client, you narrow the choice to the following 4 companies. Which of these choices has the greatest range of returns?
All right, let's see. Company A with returns over the past 4 years. Oh, so in a sense, range. Okay, that's easy. We just need to see what's what. So 12 plus 4 plus 8 plus 6 divided by 4. I know it sounds like so silly to do like such a,
No. Yeah,
simple numbers.
you're doing
So
the right
that
thing.
would
That's exactly what you should be doing.
A 7.5. Let's see, 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 6. That's also 7.5. 10 plus 12 minus 2 plus 10. Okay, that's 7.5. 15 plus 20 minus 8 plus 3. Okay, now I'm an idiot. Range, because I was doing actually.
That's right. I know you were. You caught yourself though.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, so hold on. The from minus 8 to 20, so it's 28 there. From minus 2 to 12, that's only 14. 6 to 9, that's 3. 4 to 12 is 8. So it's D. So the answer is A.
I'm glad you caught yourself because that's exactly correct.
Oh my God. Wasted time. Okay.
Well, that's okay. Listen, we're probably going to be outside the time constraint just because we're doing it this way. But again, as your tutor, I don't think you have any kind of a time constraint. And so far, you are not guilty of anything I thought you might be guilty of, right? You are operating at peak efficiencies thus far. Under federal law, the statute of limitations for civil liability is.
So it's 3 years of the action, 2 years after discovery. The only thing is like, I'm gonna state or federal.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yes. It's just I can't remember because I think federal is more strict. So I'm gonna go with an A, 1 year after discovery and 3 years after the action.
Man, you are on fire. Expresses a percentage.
I'm gonna pretend that I have you in my ear tomorrow. So
okay, I'll be there for you.
Sounds good.
But hey, listen, whatever you do, don't call me for the exam. I had a lady once, she called me and she goes, Dean, I go, where? She goes, I'm at my exam. I go, hanging up now. I don't know how you still have your phone on your person, but don't get us in trouble. Can you imagine how mad you would be? They actually caught an instructor taking the test for people. It was a conspiracy. I'd go in and say, hey, I got $5,000 that says on Vodka today. And they go, hey, well, welcome. And when they caught him, they disallowed every registration of everybody who had used him as a tutor or teacher. So can you imagine if you got a call and they say, hey, you know that Dean guy? He goes, yeah, he helped me with my 66. And when we caught him cheating, and so now we're going to revoke your registration. You'd be looking for me with a pitchfork.
Oh my God, that is horrible.
Yeah. So now that they're, it still happens, but they're a little stricter about it. And then my other one I just can't believe is how many people get caught cheating on the exam to become a broker. I mean, it's like, that's like a, done deal. You're not going to make it now, so.
I just don't know what, I don't know in that setting, how do you actually cheat? Like, do you like nudge the person next to you, like, hey, do you know anything about
Well,
60?
this guy
Like,
had a cheat sheet and he brought into his data dump sheet, which you can do once you get there on an empty piece of paper. You're not supposed to bring it in. All right. Expressed as a percentage, what is the total return of a 1-year newly issued zero coupon debt priced at 95?
as percentage, what is the total return of a 1-year? So it's, so this actually has to do with that it's a price at discount. So
Yeah.
at the time of maturity, they're gonna get a 1,000. So
You're
that's
correct.
more. So am I dumb to like do 95?
So you're on the right track. You're on the right track. So what you're, I think, trying to figure out is the setup. I call it the setup, and you're on the right track on the setup, that you have recognized thus far that it's priced at 95, 950, and you're getting back 1,000.
Right. So 950, because when Dean says usually you just simply, if anything fails, you divide. But
Yeah. Sometimes when people tell me that, I go, man, I am so right. I'm so right.
but like, well, I don't know why am I making this setup so hard?
Okay,
Like,
so
but
listen,
it
you
should
just said when
sound
Dean told you
so
to
to
divide,
be
so you're going to divide. You're going to have to divide. You're correct. You're on the right track again. So we're going to divide something by something. Now we have one of the somethings already. We got 950. And then you
right.
had the second something earlier, the 50. So what are we going to do? What number are we going to, what do they call the denominator, numerator, whatever they
50
call it? So we did
526. There's no coupon, it's 0, so 526D.
right on, right on. So when you get a question like that, what you got to kind of do is what you did. You got to kind of look for a setup. And, whether it's remembering that I tell you, usually it's division, which is true, then you can say, okay, let me figure out how I can divide something, so.
When all fails, divide.
I'm sure I'm going to get somebody who watches. Oh, that's that's BS. I had a guy who taken a 66. Good news, he passed. He said, Dean, I am actually a math geek, and not in a good way. I mean, he's not hubris. He really is. And then he said, so I don't want to waste any tutoring doing any math with you, because I can do any math with 2 numbers, solve for the third. And I said, fine, but then good news, he passed, but he called me and goes, Dean, they didn't ask me to do the math. They asked me to recognize it. I didn't spend any time memorizing formulas. So I had to kind of make up the formula on the fly and then compare it to the answer set. So, he got himself in a little more hot water than he thought he was going to do. All right. Which of the following persons are excluded from the definition or exempt from registration as a broker dealer under the Uniform Securities Act?
Broker dealer with no office in the state that affects trades exclusively with other broker dealers in the state. Okay. A trust company with an office in the state that deals with the general public. A broker dealer with no office in the state that has no more than 5 retail clients resident in the state within the past year. It doesn't matter how many clients the broker dealer has. If it has any, they have to. A broker dealer with no office in the state that affects securities trade exclusively with trust companies and other broker dealers. Okay, so it says which of the followings are excluded from the definition or exempt from registration. So a broker dealer with no office in the state. So 1 is with broker dealers in the state. So 1 and 4 for sure.
Right.
Okay, so just A falls out. And 3, actually, we can cross that off because that person has, that broker dealer has to register.
Perfect. Your logic is perfect.
So 3 and 3. So that only leaves me with a D as an answer.
Beautiful. When I say beautiful, I just mean that just when you're talking out loud, the logic is right. You poof. I mean, aim and shoot, point and click. You're just, firing that round down range and hitting your target pretty regularly. The bond strategy most often associated, or most often by those with a target goal, is.
Duration, barbell, laddering. Bullet and laddering barbell. I'm gonna go with the duration.
Well, duration isn't a strategy. Duration is about volatility. So that's your first miss, by the way. Listen, my friend, listen, if you miss one of every 16,
then we're in a good shape. But would
you're in
you
really good shape. You're running fine. But duration isn't a strategy in bonds. It's about volatility. Remember, the bond with the longest maturity and lowest coupon is going to have the highest duration.
long and low?
Yeah, that's right. Long and low. Bullet strategy is a strategy, and that's the answer. That's where you have a target goal and you know all your bonds will mature at that date. Laddering is when we stagger the maturities. So, you know, that lowers our interest rate risk. And barbell is short-term, long-term, nothing.
Short, long-term. Yeah.
But like I say, not bad. That we'll take it. Listen, if you miss one every 16, you could go, we don't think you're going to go off the rails, but you know, the good news is with when you got 15 points correct behind you, you can really go off the rails and still, you know, be okay. You just got to put it back together. I'm a basketball fan, so I'm just thinking about after I said that, if I said I would never say that as a coach. Then, you know, the other team would come back and beat us. So
I don't know. San Diego State is playing tomorrow.
Oh
so
my goodness, man! I
is
love San
win
Diego
here
State.
and on my end and on their end.
I'll tell you, I love it. I love them. They are something else. You know, you probably know that Kawhi went to San Diego State, so they've been pretty good for a long time, but now they're getting their place in the sun. When an investor's original value is subtracted from the end value, and then has the income received over that time period added to it, which is then divided by the original cost, the result is.
Okay, I got to read that one more time. Sorry, Dean.
No, go for it. Yeah, you got plenty of time.
When an investor's original value is subtracted from the end value, and then has the income received over that time period added to it, which is then, so just tell me what it says there, which is then divided, because I just don't see it because of our images.
Oh, I thought I moved our profiles out of there. Oh, apparently it's not. Is then divided by the original cost. So an investor's original value is subtracted from the ending value. A, that's number A. Then the income received for that time is added to it, B. So A plus B, which is then divided by the original cost. So A plus B divided by C.
It's not an annualizer. It's not. Expected return, A.
No, expected return would have been something like capital asset pricing model or standard deviation. This is the holding period return. Now, what you might want to do is, I kind of hinted at this, but what you might want to do is put some numbers to it of your own. I was like, say, I bought a stock for 20. I sold it for 21. Okay, so there's $1. I received another $1 in dividends. So there's $2. I divide it by 20, 2 divided by 20, and I get 10%. So what is that? That's the holding period rate of return. And then annualized, they'd have to give us some kind of a, you know, tell us it's a time period so we could do annualized. So I jinxed us.
Unfortunately, this is not the forte.
Yeah, well, that's okay. That's two. We missed 2 in a row. So let's just get it back on the track, right? So you're still very, very fine, not worried at all. But again, when you get one of those ones like that, maybe you want to put some numbers of your own. If you're going to use your own numbers, make it easy, right? So just make up numbers you're real comfortable with. Paradigm Investors LLC is an investment advisor registered with the SEC. Larry Small is an investment advisor representative with PIG. The firm's research team has just completed a webinar for the firm's investment advisor representatives, where they gave their strongest possible buy recommendation to JKL common stock. After the report is released to the media, Larry immediately sends out a blast email to all of his advisory clients, urging them to add JKL to their portfolio. This would probably be viewed as
an unethical practice of making a blanket recommendation.
Excellent. I see a compliance officer in your future.
We'll see. We'll see.
Under Uniform Securities Act, which of the following investment advisors with no place in business in the state must register with the state as an investment advisor?
Under USA, okay, an advisor rendering advice to no more than 10 individual clients within a 12-month period. An advisor managing more than 110 million in assets. An advisor rendering advice to employee benefit plan with at least 1 million in assets, okay, an advisor rendering advice solely to broker dealers. So, and it says which must register. So it's no more than 5 in 12-month periods, so A.
Yeah, good job. How often must an investment company file it reports with the SEC as required on the Investment Company Act of 1940?
Annually, D.
Boom, good job. You got that train right back on the tracks pretty damn quick. A federally covered advisor is a person.
They have to, if it's federally, so NASA, state, USA, state, nope. Or excluded from the definition of the investment advisor 140, exempt from regulation. They're not exempt, so they have to register under 1940, so C.
Excellent. If an investment advisor representative of a federally covered investment advisor transact business in a state, terminates employment with that investment advisor, which of the following statements is true? Which of the following statements is true?
So representative of federal covered advisor, no notice to administrators are required. That is not true. Somebody that tell them.
Yep.
So the representative and investment advisor must notify the administrator. The investment advisor must notify the administrator. The representative must notify the administrator. Well, state and federal. So the investment advisor must notify the administrator. So C.
You're saying C?
The
Does
person that works. Oh, correct. The correct answer is that the investment advisor representative, the person that works,
Okay,
has to
so what am I
notify
doing here?
the.
Am I marking you wrong? Am I marking you right? So did you?
You can go ahead and mark me. I misread it. It is investment advisor
So
representative.
the
I
question is,
misread it.
would you have
So
answered what you now we're talking out loud and you don't have control of the button. So I'm not trying to spot you any points or anything, but if you had control of the clicker, would you have clicked?
it would have been the D, the representative. The
Okay, so well, then
investment
we're going to
advisor
give that to you. We'll give
representative
that
must
to you if that's
notify.
because, you know, if that's what you would have clicked. That's what, you know, we're trying to do here. Oh my God. You know,
I know.
listen, good news. I've
My
got some good news.
favorite.
Well, I was going to
Goodness.
say the good news is you're operating from abundance thus far. And what's great about operating from abundance is when you get these long ones, you can go, oh, you know, do I, you know, really want to get too tied up in this thing? But, you know, maybe at the end of the day, it might be easy. And so, you know,
Right.
one thing
Let's
I like
see.
to do on these long ones is just read the last sentence first, just to kind of see, you know, if I think I'm getting for an easy one or a hard one. It says the recommendation is, I say, okay, so now I know it's about recommendation. A customer purchased a variable annuity from an agent 5 years ago with an initial investment of $200,000. The annuity surrender fee will expire in year 7, which coincides with the customer's anticipated need for the funds. In the 5th year of the contract, the value of the annuity increased from 300 to 375. The agent notices the general market is on the climb and recommends she enter a 1035 exchange of the variable contract for another, thus increasing her death benefit and locking it in at a higher minimum. The recommendation is
Unsuitable because of the surrender fee, suitable because of the increased death benefit, suitable because 1035 changes have no adverse tax consequences, and suitable unless the customer agrees with the recommendation. Well, customer here, it says coincides with their anticipation for needed funds. If they exchange, then they're locking themselves in for another period of time. So unless the client agrees with this, it's unsuitable. So D.
you actually missed it. It's, you know, almost always the default should be that it's going to be unsuitable rather than it isn't. Even if the client, because of the surrender fees, it's just not going to make economic sense.
Got it.
Right. So, you know, in other words, even if you're, you know, think of your future as a compliance officer, you can almost do this with what I call baby brokers, not a derogatory term, a term of endearment. When it comes to you and said, well, the customer said it was okay. you know.
I see. Yep, I'll note to
So
self.
that's okay. Yeah, like I say, we're still operating from abundance, so no problem. Question 24 of 100. Agent A, oh my God, with firm Y and agent B with firm Z conduct a joint seminar. They agree to share commissions on any resulting business. Under Uniform Securities Act, which of the following statements regarding sharing commissions is true?
Sharing of commission by agents of two unrelated firms is prohibited. That is true. Let's see what's else. Only an agent who makes a sale is eligible to earn a commission. Nope. In this instance, sharing of commission could only be done with the approval of both firms. Nope. Sharing commissions that are a result of a joint seminar is never permitted. No. So the correct thing is sharing of commission by agents of two unrelated firms is prohibited. So A.
Excellent. An investor begins contributing 600 on the third day of each month to a purchase plan for the Capo Total Return Fund. For the first 6 months, the share prices are. What is the investor's break even? What is the investor's break even? I just think this is a funky way to ask you this question about dollar cost averaging.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Would you be so kind and just scroll a little because I only
Sure.
see options A and B.
You want to see what your options are? There are your options. One of those is correct.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like 12.83 per share. D.
How did you do? So I think you are either a mathematical genius or you.
Oh, no. I was using my simple calculator. I added them all and I did a.
Okay, so you got to slow down a little bit. You got to slow down a little bit because that is not correct. So
Okay.
this is dollar cost averaging.
Right.
So we got to figure out.
Oh my God. I totally did not even. I'm stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
$10, 600 shares.
whoa, slow down. So
$600
divide by 10.
divided by 10. So that's 60 shares.
All right. 600 divided by 12.
That is 50 shares.
There you go. 600 divided by 15.
15, that's 40 shares.
600 divided by 20.
30.
600 divided by 12.
Again. So that's 50.
600 divided by 8.
75.
Okay, so now we've invested this for 6 months. So 6 months times 6. Right. So
right. So sorry, I was just doing the other.
That's well, yeah. So you got some more math to do here. So now we got to total up the shares.
3,600 for 6 months.
Right. And how many shares did you come up with when you did all that other math?
60, 50, 40, 30, 50, 75, 305.
That's right. So now we're going to take
36. And then do I do the dollars on this one too? Because we invested 3,600 for 6 months and bought a total of 305.
Okay, so what are we into this thing for per share?
So 305 divided by 3,600. 0.08.
Well, 3,600 is what we spent to acquire 305 shares. So 3,600 divided by 305.
11.8.
Yeah.
11.8.
It's B. Now, I think this was a funky one. What this is asking about is dollar cost averaging. And what we're asked here to do camouflage was the average cost. What you gave me was the average price.
Right.
So just be careful what they were asked. Now, as I mentioned, I think this was funky, but you should definitely note that dollar cost averaging, what makes it work, fixed dollars invested regularly, like $600 every month. What's the end result? You're going to end up only having a lower average cost, 1180 in this example, than the underlying shares. If we did that, we would take the 10, 12, 15, 20, 12 and 8 and divide by 6 and that would give us the average cost, or excuse me, average price, excuse me. And then,
Right.
I mean, it doesn't guarantee a profit. So a miss, you know, I like it sometimes, though. Your misses sometimes come from being aggressive, which I like. So as a tutor, I prefer
So I
test
need to
takers.
reel it back in. Like I
Well, you
need to
know,
not
I
be
would
as
prefer to
aggressive.
have test takers that are aggressive than people that are passive, because passive will get you into more trouble than being aggressive. So that one, you know, you jumped on it, and you know, it cost you a point. But you know, like I say, not a big problem. All right. So under industry regulations, when may an agent be given discretionary power to buy or sell securities for a client?
Never, only when the authority is specific, provide in advance, it specifies the amount, type, and timing of the transaction. When authority is given by written document, if authority is given within 1 week after discretionary act. And this is when agent is a broker dealer.
That's
So
correct.
definitely not D. It has to be given in a written document. So let's see, it never is also A is scratched out. Let's see, what's this one? Only when the authority is specific, provide in advance, amount, type, and timing. Time is actually not for discretion. Price and timing is not for discretion. It's action, asset, and so C.
Excellent. That was excellent. That was one of your, another beautiful performance on that one. On those ones where you get a straight shot at it, you hit it out of the park on those kind of questions. And you're going to get those kind of questions. So that's good news. So, all right. The separate account, sub-accounts chosen by the purchaser of a variable life insurance policy have had outstanding performance over the past 15 years. There would generally be no tax implications in which of the following situations?
The death benefit is paid, a loan is taken equal to 95% cash value. The policy is surrendered, there's a cash withdrawal in excess of the cost basis. Well, it grows tax deferred, so that's not it. So anything above cost basis, it is taxable. No tax implication. The policy is surrendered. There's always something there. The death benefit is paid. Variable life has like a preset mini death. So let's go with an A. The death benefit is paid.
No, there's no tax consequence if you borrow against your policy.
Ah,
So if you borrow against your
so
policy, that's
B.
not taxable. So the answer was B.
I thought that like the borrow was like up to 75%.
Well, this isn't about that, but no, it in certain circumstances,
That's
depending how
probably
long,
what I was.
yeah, depending on how long you've had it. So you just were, oh, that's why you took it out of your potential answer set.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
okay, well,
like you can borrow against your cash value approximately
yeah, you've had
75%. So
that
that's
for us for a while. That 75% and the 95%, I don't think are testable, but it depends on the policy. And that wouldn't be variable life. That would be like the other one, flexible, or what's it called, universal.
universal, right.
Rendering investment advice requires knowing certain information about your client. Which of these would be the least reliable source of that information?
Client's income tax return, face-to-face meeting with the client, your firm's confidential planning questionnaire, client Facebook page. I
Yeah,
think
give me a
an
bunch of
A is a
those.
save.
Man,
Yeah,
that's
please
good.
sign me up. I'll
Yeah,
take
man,
it.
that's a layup there. Which of the following actions would you most likely expect from a contrarian investor?
Sell when most other investors are selling. Nope, he's doing the opposite. Buy stocks trading near or below to their book value. That doesn't matter. Buy when most other investors are buying. Sell when most investors are buying. So D.
Yeah, I love
He's
what
doing
Mr.
the
Buffett
opposite.
said. He said, buy into fear and sell into greed. You are correct. Which of the following individuals employed by an investment advisor would be required to be registered as an investment advisor representative?
Chief compliance officer who has no sales duties. However, he's up there. The night watchman, that guy, please, no, just kidding, please don't mark that. The VP of Human Resources and intern who receives no compensation whatsoever must required to register. So it's a CCO, a Chief Compliance Officer.
There you go. Right. There you go. Right. If you're going to be the gameskeeper or, gameskeeper, you gotta, know what the poachers are up to.
Right.
The value of a variable annuity during the accumulation period is determined by
the number of accumulation units owed multiplied by the value of each unit, the number of accumulation units owed multiplied by the number of payments made into the account, the total payments made by the evaluation date, the value of the securities in the general account of the insurance company. Value, the number of accumulation units. Shoot. It's either A or B.
You are correct.
It has to be A, the number of accumulation units by the
Excellent.
value of each unit.
Excellent. I think of the accumulation. So I just think of you're correct. I think of it as a mutual fund with an insurance wrapper, and the shares are called accumulation units. So it's basically the same as what NAV would be to a mutual fund.
Right.
Is what accumulation is. Excellent. Grandma has decided to give her grandson some stock that she bought many years ago. When the grandson sells the stock, how is the tax liability figured?
Both the cost base and the holding period determined from the date of the gift. Her date of purchase is used, but the cost base from the date of a gift. Her cost basis and date of purchase is used. Her cost basis is used, but the holding period begins of the everything starts from grandma screwed up her grandson. He has to pay from the moment she bought it. So her cost basis and the date of purchase is used.
Perfect. You nailed it. That's very testable and you got it. So you're going to counter something like that. Stock is currently worth $75. The stock was purchased 1 year ago for $60. The stock paid $1.50 dividend over the course of the year. What is the holding period return? What is the holding period return? So last time we asked you to recognize this, and this time we're asking you to do it.
Okay. So current stock 75, 1 year ago 60, and the stock dividend is paid. So I think we actually do subtract the dividend. What is the holding? Okay. So let me see. Over the course of the year. So the dividend, the 150 is the annual amount, is not on a quarterly. So I'm not actually multiplying it by anything else.
That's correct.
Okay, definitely not it. Nope. No calculations that I've been punching on my calculator are getting me anywhere. So
Okay,
I am.
All right. So you want to put in your guess and then we'll go over it.
Let's do B, 24%.
Okay. So we had this last time and they asked us what we're going to do. So, and you had to recognize the formula, and the formula was what we made from the stock. So we're going to take 75 minus 60. So we made $15 there. Plus we made $1.50 from the dividend. So we've made a total of $16.50.
Okay.
And to make that $16.50, what did we pay for the investment? $60.
Right.
So take our 1560, or excuse me, our 1650.
1650.
And divide by 60.
27.5.
We're still operating from abundance. You don't have any kind of a cleanup thing, but this holding period return, this is the the second time you've missed the same question, which is well as you're doing is surprising, right? So to maybe just review that. I don't think it's a big deal based on your performance, but you haven't so far missed two of the same thing, except for that. All right. So our next one, under the Investment Advisor Act of 1940, cash payment to a broker dealer from an investment advisor in return for client referrals is
cash payment to broker dealer from investment advisor in return for client referral is permitted if the investment advisor makes certain disclosure to the client that meets other requirements, permitted only if the investment advisor and broker dealers are affiliated, permitted with no restriction, not permitted until any circumstances. To broker dealer, but this is a referral, so it's not. It is permitted, but I know like that it has to be registered, but that's not the question. Let's stick with B because they have to be affiliated in order to share.
Now, if that were agents of the broker dealer, that would be true, but not true here. You missed it because broker dealers raise money for investment advisors all the time.
True.
Broker dealers are solicitors
As
for a lot of
long as it's
investment advisors.
disclosure. Okay.
Yeah, I did that for a living for many, many years, right? So it's A. And then the
Yeah,
disclosure would be, yeah, I love the investment advisor because he pays me to find people like you. So remember, it's unlikely that I'm going to tell you I don't like the guy and he doesn't like me. So, disclosure. Now, I think what you might have been thinking about is this idea about you can't do it with a different broker dealer A and broker dealer B, but this isn't two broker dealers. This is a broker dealer and an investment advisory firm. It would be correct to state that when an investor has a longer time horizon,
the greater the initial deposit to reach a projected future goal, the risk level is lower, the exposure to inflation is lessened, the need for liquidity is less important. Well, that's kind of true. If they have a longer time, they don't necessarily need cash straight away, so liquidity is not as important. The exposure to inflation risk is lessened, definitely not. The risk level is lowered. No, the greater the initial deposit to reach a projected future goal. Like this does not even sound English to somebody who's a foreign.
I love that your term, by the way, though. I love that you said, I don't need money straight away. I like that straight away.
Right.
I haven't heard that term in a long time.
That when an investor has a longer time horizon, the greater the initial deposit to reach a projected future goal. I'm going to stick with D.
You are correct. You are correct. So I'm glad you didn't use your smartness to talk yourself out of a right answer. So good job. By the way, you said that answer out loud. I like you're talking out loud because I want to know what's going on in your brain housing group. And you said that much earlier before you started, rolling back on those answers. But who cares? As long as you get the right answer, who cares, right? And you got it right. A broker dealer is not considered an investment advisor if
the firm is registered under the Investment Advisor Act of 1940. Not considered an investment advisor. The investment advisor services are incidental to broker dealer's business and no special compensation is received. The firm has less than 15 advisory accounts totaling less than 1 million. The firm's investment advice is limited to 10 or fewer people. If they're for a broker dealer, if they give any advice to even a single person and they get compensation for it, they have to register. But okay, broker dealer is not considered an investment advisor. The investment advisor services are incidental to broker dealer business and no specific. Let's do B.
I like that. That's correct, right? The key word you're looking for is incidental. And so that's
no
a pivot
special
word.
compensation.
Special, that you go. That's just a traditional broker. I say your relationship with me is free, and as part of that relationship, I'm going to tell you to buy or sell a security. When you do so, my firm makes a markup or markdown or a commission, and then I get a portion of that. I don't charge you any special compensation for telling you to buy a mutual fund or buy a growth stock or whatever the case may be. In an efficient market,
Investors have a good chance of beating the market. Yeah, good luck with that. Information is disseminated slowly. It is fairly easy to predict major market swings. Any information that could affect the stock value is quickly reflected in its price. So D.
you are correct. Watson, a customer of Gibraltar Securities, wishes to place an order to buy 50 shares of a thinly traded stock at $8 per share. Because the stock is so thinly traded, Gibraltar Securities feels it needs to charge Watson a commission of $100 to justify the time it must spend locating a seller of the stock. Which of the following best describes this action? Which of the following best describes this action?
Gibraltar Securities is not required to disclose the amount of commission in advance. However, it must receive clearance from the administrator before charging commission amount exceeds 10% of the value of the securities traded under the transaction. It would not be considered prohibited practice for Gibraltar to charge. That is actually true because it's thinly traded stock. Okay, let's see what are the other options. It would not be considered prohibited practice to charge to complete the transaction, provided Gibraltar informed of 100 commission prior to the transaction, and he chose to proceed with the trade. A commission of 100 on a trading transaction involving 400 worth of stock would generally not be deemed excessive. They have to let him know, and they actually can charge more because of the type of the transaction that they're doing. And if he agrees, they're fine. So I'm going to go with C.
You are correct. Excellent. Excellent. Good job. Under the Investment Advisor Act of 1940, an investment advisor who has custody of clients' funds and securities must
keep the client securities and funds segregated and identified, annually perform a physical inventory of all clients' funds and securities, and file an affidavit with the SEC. Well, they don't do it. The outside group does it. Maintain a surety bond in the amount determined by the SEC. Annually provide each client with an itemized list of the securities and funds and their location. So under Federal and Investment Service Advisor who has custody, I mean, they must keep securities and funds segregated. Broker-dealer can actually commingle certain things, but these have to be segregated. So I'm going to go with A.
You are correct. You are correct. Creative Wealth Management, an investment advisor registered in 5 states, has a preferred brokerage arrangement with Bullish Bobby Brown Securities, a FINRA member broker-dealer. If one of Creative Wealth Management clients chooses to use a broker-dealer other than BBBS, CWM must disclose that.
In a client-directed brokerage account, the client may pay higher brokerage commission because the AI may not be able to aggregate orders to reduce transaction costs. Fair enough. The advisory contract is in danger of not being renewed. If you threaten me that you will not renew my contract because I'm going somewhere else, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
The client may receive less favorable price because the AI has arranged a preferred commission rate with the preferred broker-dealer. Using BBBS assures the client of receiving research ahead of those clients who trade elsewhere. So 1 is for sure.
You are correct.
So obviously then 1, A or B. And I mean, this one's silly. So B is an answer because in an A, it's like 1 and 2, then they won't renew. So yeah, B.
There you go. Good job. A disadvantage of a defined benefit pension plan to the employee is that
Defined benefit. The risk of fund performance is borne by the employer. At retirement, the employee may not be earning as much as when she was at her peak earning power. The individual is guaranteed a payout at the time of her retirement by her employee. The funds are an integral part of the retirement planning process. A disadvantage.
Yeah, key word. That's key.
Yeah. Individual is guaranteed a payout because it's a defined benefit. So yeah, that's true. So that's not a disadvantage, that's an advantage. At retirement, the employee may not be earning as much as when she was at her peak earning power. Well, that is true. That could be the fact. The risk of fund performance is borne by the employer, sorry. The funds are an integral part of retirement planning process. That is true. I'm going to go with B because the person could potentially earn more, but what they agreed upon. Yeah. So I'm going to go with B.
B as in boy or?
B as in boy. Yeah.
Excellent. That's exactly right. So, you know, if your peak earning power, you're making 120, your retirement is paycheck is 80, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Which of the following would have an effect on the net asset value of a mutual fund? Which of the following would have an effect on the net asset value of a mutual fund?
Sales of securities from a portfolio, automatic reinvestment of dividends by the shareholders, market appreciation of portfolio securities, market decline in the value of portfolio securities. The sales of securities from the portfolio. So I'm probably going to like overwork myself on this one, but let's see. The securities from portfolio are usually redeemed back into the mutual funds. So I don't like, so maybe that's where the sale of securities from the portfolio are confusing me, but okay, let's move on. Automatic reinvestment of dividends by the shareholders. Market appreciation of portfolio securities, decline in the value of portfolio securities. I believe decline is definitely in it. So the A is out. Market appreciation of portfolio securities is there. So automatic reinvestment of dividend by the shareholder. Let's go with B, but I'm not sure that that's the correct answer.
B as in boy or D as in dog?
B as in boy, sorry.
Yeah, you got it wrong. It's 3 and 4 only. Well, 1 is a wash, right? Because they're just going to have an asset called cash instead of an asset of the security. So the thing that makes it go up and down is the value of the portfolio. So 3 and 4. 3 and 4. Like I say, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but yeah, you did kind of torment yourself on that. I think I would have been, as your tutor, I would have been a little more pleased if you just took the loss on that quickly, you know. And I don't, like I say, don't think you have any time constraint, but you know, usually we should be thinking simpler, you know, aim and shoot, point and click, and getting out of the question. All right, so let's see what
this probably would have been one where I'd be like, okay, and then like, you know, did a click for review and see what happens, you know, if I have time to go back.
Yeah, plenty. Well, yeah, I'm not sure I'd go back, particularly when you're a smart person, because you might just talk yourself the right answer and then the wrong answer. Your flash response is your best, and your performance thus far doesn't require you to go back. So I'd strongly consider when they say, "Are you done?" Say yes. Are you sure? Okay. Yes, I'm sure. You know, give me my P and I'm out of here. So under the Investment Advisor Act of 1940, which of the following is considered an investment advisor? Which of the following is considered an investment advisor?
A trust officer of commercial bank who manages investment accounts for clients, a person who publishes a regular newsletter of advice on U.S. Treasury bonds and other U.S. government securities, a syndicated columnist who gives weekly reports or recommendations of investment, a lawyer who specializes in consulting and investing in securities. Well, lawyer of the late is definitely an investment advisor, but hold on, which of the following is considered? But then here's a trick: is it doing investment advisor as a person or an investment advisor as a company? So, but it looks like all of them are persons. Trust officer of a commercial bank, a person who publishes a regular newsletter for advice. that's like more of a blanket. A syndicate economist who gives weekly reports and recommendation on investments, again, not specific to a client, and consulting on investing in securities. My lawyer is going to be my answer. So D is in dog.
You're right, because it's not incidental, right? So you were correct.
Yeah.
He's actually publishing things, telling people how to invest. One of the most significant features of the Uniform Prudent Investors Act is the ability of a trustee to delegate investment decisions to a qualified third party. Delegation is permitted as long as the fiduciary to whom the powers are delegated
Considers the risk reward thereof of each individual security in the portfolio, acts with skill and caution, avoids high risk investments, avoids diversification. Consider the risk reward thereof of each individual security in the portfolio. Well, that wasn't where it's going. I don't think the C and D are playing a part in this one. I mean, I
correct.
really hope that the person will act with skill and caution, but each individual security, risk and reward, like that's way too like no, I'm gonna go with B, acts with skill and caution.
Trust your judgment. Trust your judgment. You're correct. And that was exactly the right thing. That your thinking was spot on that one. So got to trust your thinking. All right.
Trust my
Under the Uniform
gut.
Securities Act, when may an investment advisor legally have custody of money and securities belonging to a customer?
When the advisor has a net worth of at least 25, when the administrator has not prohibited custodial arrangements, when the advisor does not have discretionary authority over the accounts, when the advisor has notified 2 and 4, so C.
Excellent, man. That was quick and that was accurate, man. That was boom. Which of the following would be deemed to be an assignment of an investment advisory contract?
All of the stock in NLT Advisors, a corporation is acquired. So that's a yes. The lucky 7 partnership investment advisor with 7 partners. 4 of the partners make a fortune and decide to retire. They're replaced by new partners. Majority change. So yeah. Albert is an investment advisor. His client accounts are automatically debited monthly for his fee. Because of this steady cash flow, his banker readily accepts a pledge of these accounts as collateral for loan. Oh, so 1 and 2 is for sure. Well, the only other option is, okay, there is a B and D. I just can't remember, like, pledge of accounts. Oh, shoot. Collateral for a loan. I'm gonna say B as in boy.
You are correct, because that's considered assignment if I'm using that, contract. Right? Keep pointing me, you need permission for that. Good job. Which of the following statements is true? Which of the following statements is true?
Person with a place of business in the state who transacts business exclusively with banks and saving institutions is not an investment advisor under the USA. Person, okay. A person excluded from the definition of investment advisor under the Investment Advisor Act of 1940 who offers investment advice to individual investors residing in this state and has less than 25 million in assets under management is subject to jurisdiction of the state administrator. They are excluded different under, okay. A person who included in the definition of investment advisor under the Investment Advisor Act of 1940 who manages funds on a regular basis as a business headquartered in a state is subject to payment of filing fees required by the state administrator. Broker-dealer who supply incidental investment advice and makes securities recommendation to customers who pay commission for the execution of their trades and non-investment advice subject to state or federal registration. Which of the following statements is true? Broker-dealer who supply incidental investment advice and makes securities recommendation to customers who pay commission for the execution of their trades are not investment advisors subject to. So that is true.
Excellent. That's exactly the way I would have proceeded. So you got, 50,
So
50
then
now.
it's either, yeah, it's either A or C. Let's see, a person included in the definition of investment advisor under the Investment Advisor Act of 1940 who manages funds on a regular basis as a business headquartered in a state is subject to payment of filing fees required by the state administrator. Yeah, they manages funds in the state because they're registered under federal. Let's see the number one, just in case, because too many words in these questions.
No, this is a long one. This is you're on the right track though. You got your 4, so you know you got your 4. So now you got to tell me whether 1 is true or
1 or
3 is true.
3. A person with a place of business in the state who transacts business exclusively with banks and savings institutions, not an investment advisor under USA. Well, this has been a business. Person include, because I mean, the point on the first one is like, does he have to register or not have to register? But like, it kind of is an investment. Okay, maybe 3 will save me. Hold on. Person included in the definition of investment advisor under the Investment Advisor Act of 1940 who manages funds on a regular basis as a business headquartered in the state. I'm gonna go with 3 and 4. I'm gonna go with C.
Excellent. It took a long time to get there, but you got there and you got there correctly. So remember, that's called notice filing. That's called notice filing.
Yes, that's why I was like, they can do it because they're federally registered. They
That's
just
right.
need to
They gotta
let
pay,
somebody know.
got to give your state administrator some money because, they feel bad that they lost some power under the NIMSMIA, which allowed us to say we're federally covered, neener. But I still have to give them a notice and give them a check. A registered investment advisor has a fiduciary duty to disclose all real and potential conflicts of interest to clients. Which of the following are examples of conflicts that would require disclosure?
A registered investment advisor spends about 20% of its time on investment advice activities and the balance of managing rental real estate projects. A registered investment advisor spends about 20% of its time supervising the activities of its investment advisor representatives. I mean, it's part of his job. An investment advisor representative who's also an insurance agent may decide to recommend a particular insurance product based on incentives to sell the product. Yeah, he's kind of have to tell. An investment advisor representative who's also an agent with an unaffiliated broker-dealer directs transactions with them. Yep, he has to do that too. So 3 and 4 for sure. And a registered investment advisor spends about 25% of its time. So he's doing other stuff, spends a lot of time, quarter of the time away from actually managing and advisor activities. So I will say D as in dog, 1, 3, and 4.
You are correct. I like how you got there too, right? Because if you're supervisor, you work exactly right. That's part of the business. Yeah. The 1 is not part of the business. You're spending 3/4 of your time doing other things, right? Which of the following statements about open-end investment companies is true?
Open-end investment companies are also known as mutual funds. Yep. Open-end investment companies continually offer shares for sale to the public. That's true. Close-end, they don't. The price at which an open-end investment company will sell shares to the public is based on the share's net asset value. So 1 and 2 for sure. And there's that net asset value that just constantly blows my mind. The price at which the open-end will share is probably based on the share net, but they could actually charge the like share A shares. They could charge the front end load and whatnot. So
yeah, but what's that start with? I mean,
the price at which an open-end investment company will sell. Oh, this is will sell. Yeah, they do sell it based on NAV. So yeah, 1, 2, and 3. So C.
yeah, excellent, right? It's the NAV plus the sales charge. Yeah. Always the next calculation, forward pricing. Under the ethical conduct provisions of the Uniform Prudent Investors Act, which the following statements is true regarding an investment advisor's recommendations to clients.
They may only rely on their experience in making recommendations. I sure hope not. Investment advisors must inquire into the client's financial situation, investment objective, needs, and goals. Yeah. Investment advisor will make suitable recommendations if they exercise due diligence in investigating securities before recommending them. Well, where's the client in all of that? The suitability requirement is necessary to ensure conflict of interest are avoided. Suitability has nothing to do with conflict of interest. So the true investment advisor must inquire into client's financial, investment objective, needs, and goals. So B as a boy.
Excellent, excellent. Sharon Smith is an investment advisor representative with Highwater Advisors, a federally covered investment advisor with its principal office in State X. Sharon provides advisory services to a bank located in State X, a state in which she has no place of business. Under current regulations,
Sharon is an investment advisor for federally covered investment advisors. So as long as she does not have, okay, because Sharon has no place of business in State X, she does not have to register as a IAR in State X. Because Sharon has a client, it really doesn't matter how many clients they have where, if they're federally covered, it's just about the place that they are. So if she has no location in State X, she does not have to. A.
excellent, excellent, good job. A 74-year-old widower has been your client since his early 50s. He's a well-informed investor and has always seemed capable of understanding most investment concepts you have presented. At least twice a year, the two of you meet to evaluate his current financial situation and objectives. In your last meeting, it seemed to you that he was distracted and somewhat forgetful. It would be appropriate for you to do all of the following except.
Ask him to invite a friend or family member to accompany him to appointments with you. Take detailed notes on future conversations and meetings with him. All would be appropriate except, okay. Wait to see if there are future causes to concern about his capabilities. Inform your supervisor of your concerns about his memory loss. That's appropriate. Wait to see if there's future causes to concern about his capabilities. He can do that. Take a detailed notes. That's for sure. I'm not so sure about the family friend. Ask him to invite a friend or family member to accompany him to appointments with you. If they're not like assigned to him in a sense. I don't think a phone a friend in this situation is,
well, yeah, you missed it. These judgment questions are tough, but we shouldn't wait around. I mean, if we have concerns, we should address them. So I don't think A is a bad miss. It just C is a better answer than A. And we
because
didn't
it's
ask his
wait
friends.
to
We didn't
see.
disclose things to friends. I just said, hey, Joe, I'm a little concerned. I want to make sure there's a third party here. I feel more comfortable so that we, both know what was on there. So it's not A such a bad miss. It's just C is a better thing. We don't wait around.
Right.
We don't wait around. It's because it just gets worse, right? So that was your first miss in a while, though. That's that's really a judgment miss. That's not really like there's a straight answer to that question. You were right to get to the 50-50. Among investors' objectives is preservation of capital. Which of the following would be most appropriate for inclusion in the portfolio of this kind of an investor?
Preservation of capital. So international funds, it's more of a treasury. Bonds is a growth. International funds are more like a diversification. Money market is liquidity and accessibility. Let's do blue chip stocks.
I would have missed this one too. I just happen to know it's not what they're looking for, but I'm prejudicial. And they're looking for a money market fund, right? If Silicon Valley Bank
access to it.
Well, I'm with you. I think I would tell the customer to buy blue chip stocks, but You know, if Silicon Valley Bank was trying to preserve their capital instead of buying treasury bonds, they should have bought money market, right? And all the cash is there. So again, this is a second one where I'm kind of with you on your miss. I mean, I don't think it's a judgment miss. It's not really a real miss. It's just given that answer set. And on this one, by the way, I would have missed it too, because I just think blue chips are better than money markets, but that's what they're looking for, is safe, right? So
Okay.
which of the following statements concerning market efficiency is least accurate? Least accurate.
An efficient market assumes one can generate abnormal returns with active portfolio management. If weak 4 market efficiency holds, technical analysis cannot be used to earn abnormal returns over the long run. If strong form of market efficiency holds, even insider information cannot be used to earn abnormal returns. If semi-strong form market efficiency hold, technical and fundamental analysis cannot be used to earn abnormal returns over the long run. Least accurate. Online efficient market zones, one can generate. Or some efficient market efficiency is not my efficient things. So let's see, weak. So technical analysis, strong, insider, technical, A. So least
Excellent.
accurate A,
Excellent. Good job.
because these do actually
The other ones are
describe.
true. Yeah, that's true. It's at least, so you were on the right point. An investment advisor is approached by an investment company that has 25 investors. The company would like to employ the advisor to manage its account. The investment advisor is willing to do so, but proposes a compensation agreement that provides a 20% share of the profits if performance exceeds a certain benchmark. In order for this to be acceptable,
The investment company must have net worth in excess 2.2 or 1.1. The individual in charge of the investment company must be a qualified investor. All right, that has nothing to do with that. A majority of the shareholders in the investment company must be qualified investors. All the shareholders in the investment company must be qualified investors. Well, this is based on performance. So there are those net worth specifics in there. So let's do A.
you are correct. I love it. That's exactly correct. So good job. Under Uniform Securities Act, broker-dealers are required to prepare and maintain certain records. Which of the following statements reflects the position of the act?
A firm registered in more than one state must meet the record-keeping requirements of the state where its principal office is located, even if those are less comprehensive than those of the same of other states where it is registered. That is true. A firm must maintain records of every email sent from the office by agents. A broker-dealer website is considered advertising. Once a broker-dealer trade blotter has been posted, it may be discarded. That's definitely not true.
Yeah.
So 4 is out of the question.
Right.
1, I know for a fact it is the thing.
You're
So
correct.
obviously, A and B, 1 is an option. Okay, so let's see. A firm must maintain records of every email sent from the office by agents. A broker-dealer website is considered advertising. Because like what they're saying, like personal emails from agents, they don't have to
you got to
be.
decide that. That's the welcome to the test, right? So you know,
Yeah,
I think if they would have meant just professional, they would have said that. But yeah, you're gonna have to decide here what you like
if
better, 2
that's
or
also
3.
included or not.
So you got to decide which one you like better. Do you like Roman numeral 2 that says a firm has to maintain records of every mail sent from the office by agents? I have a test taking trick I would probably use to solve this. I'll share with you after you get it correct or you miss it. 3, a broker dealer's website is considered advertising.
I'm gonna go with 1 and 3. So B is in boy.
You're correct because of the word every, right? So what I would use is reduction to the ridiculous. That's where I say, okay, if that's true, That means every agent with a cell phone who sends an email off that phone, I need to capture that. No, I have to capture the work-related emails. And so you're correct. They didn't tell us what kind of emails. It said every email. I didn't say emails to clients. So you were right to bring personal in there and say, well, what's that mean? So good job. Good job. An investor is considering a 10-year stripped U.S. Treasury note, both with a yield to maturity, 10-year stripped in a U.S. Treasury note, both with a yield to maturity of 4.8. Compared to the note, the strip has
more interest rate risk and less liquidity risk. To be honest with you, I don't even know what this means. So I will read
well,
through
okay,
it.
let's get. Yeah, I think it's
Read through
funky
it and see.
phraseology. So I'll just help you
Investor-
out. A treasury
Yeah, an
strip.
invest-
It's called a treasury strip, but they are using funky language. 10-year
So
strips.
isn't that just like when broker dealers?
It's a zero coupon bond, is what it is.
Oh,
Right. So you're
okay.
being asked about a zero coupon bond and a treasury note, a treasury strip versus a treasury note.
Both with a yield to maturity of 4.8 compared to the note. More interest rate risk and less liquidity risk, less reinvestment risk and more interest rate risk, more liquidity risk and less interest rate. Oh my God. Like my eyes are just going cross-eyed right just
well,
by
we're going at
reading
a
all
long
the
time. So take a strategic breath. I like that last sentence verse. Compared to the note, the strip has. So this question is asking you about a U.S. Treasury strip, a zero coupon bond. The rest of it's just BS.
Right. Zero coupon bond, and they both have yield to maturity of 4.8. More investment risk and less interest risk. More interest and less liquidity. No. More the reinvestment risk, but isn't that also let's go with D.
Okay, well, you missed it. And I like this question. It's a high-end investment question, but zero coupon bonds have less reinvestment risk because your rate of return is locked in. And that treasury mode, every 6 months, you're getting a check and you get to decide what to do with it. And so you're going to have reinvestment risk in the treasury note and not the zero. The zero has, remember, long and low. The zero has no coupon. So it's going to be more volatile with interest rates than the treasury note because the treasury note does have coupon. So the answer was actually here, A. Less reinvestment, excuse me, B, less reinvestment risk and more interest rate. Yeah. So, but that's a high end one. And I'm with you. I think that 10-year U.S. Treasury is,
I'm like,
that's kind of a funky way to say it. There's two versions. There's treasury receipts that have been stripped by broker dealers. And then
that's where I was like, strips. I knew I remembered something where the broker dealers were involved.
That zero, you'll get a question on a zero, and it's usually going to be that reinvestment risk that you have less of it. And it's good for somebody who needs a set sum of money at some future date. On the Investment Advisor Act of 1940, a registered investment advisor who provides investment advisory services to individuals must
have a net worth of 100, provide each client with a disclosure statement or brochure no later than when entering into the advisory agreement, sell only listed securities, avoid the control of custody of client funds and securities. Under the, this is a federal act, a registered investment advisor who provides investment advice services to individuals must have a net worth. It's too high, so that doesn't have to be. Provide each client with a disclosure statement of a brochure no later than when entering into the advisor agreement. Sell only listed securities. Avoid a control. B as a boy. Dean. Yep. Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Was that my brother was calling? What's going on?
B as in boy. Provide each client.
You are correct. You are correct. An investor in an equity security.
Investor in an equity security is assured of a minimum rate of return, becomes a creditor of the company, acquires an ownership interest in the company, has a say in the day-to-day operations of the business. Definitely not. So C, acquires an ownership interest in the company.
Aim and shoot, point and click. You dream of getting a bunch of those. Which of the following types of investments would have the lowest liquidity risk? The lowest liquidity risk.
Money market funds.
Is that you said that with a list? That's correct.
Yeah, there was a question mark at the end, but I'm like,
You got it
the
correct.
rest of them are money market should
Yeah,
probably be the same.
tomorrow. Don't do that, or whenever you're testing. You know,
Yeah,
be confident. Be confident. Which of the following statements regarding risks inherent in bonds is most accurate? Most accurate.
Risk inherent in bonds. Interest rate risk is the risk that the bond's coupon rate will be adjusted downward if market rates decline. Nope, it's the opposite. Default risk deals with the likelihood that the issuer will fail to meet its obligation to pay interest and or principal. The reinvestment rate assumption in calculating bond yields is generally not significant to the bond's yield. Price risk refers to the decrease in bond prices as interest rates fall. Most accurate. Price risk refers to the decrease in bond price if interest falls, price goes up. So that's not it. So that they did the similar thing on the two. So D is out, A is out. Default risk deals with the likelihood that the issuer will fail to meet its obligation to pay interest and or principal. B is in boy.
You are correct. When the two risks are interest rate risk and credit risk, and you were on to the interest rate risk offers to you were not accurate. A customer purchased 2 new issue bonds at par 2 years ago. Since then, the CPI has declined by almost half, and the current yield on the bonds has also declined. Which of the following best describes the value of the bonds he purchased?
CPI has declined by almost half, and the current yield of the bond has also declined. Which of the following best describes the value of the bond he purchased? Their market price has increased. This cannot be determined. That's never an answer. Their market price has remained unchanged. Their market price has declined. So on the C, so I'm like, the declined by almost, and the current yield went down. Market price has to go up. Are they like really trying to make this more complicated than just
No,
the
you actually
inverse
just
relationship?
answered it. You just answered it. If the current yield went down, that means the price must have gone up. You got it.
They just made it like sound
Yeah,
so
it had
much
nothing to do
more.
with 2 years ago at par.
Yeah.
The CPI is kind of a hint, but it's really just that current yield that's meaningful.
Okay. It just written in way more complicated
Well,
form that it just
Chuck is
needs
the Kaplan guy. Chuck Lowenstein is the guy Kaplan who writes the questions, and I don't get into it with him as much as we used to, because over the course of the many years, I agree with him. I used to say, why do you do this? Why are we tormenting people? And it's better to be
if
pleasant.
he's tormenting me more here than what I'm going to be
That's
tormented
exactly
on
right.
the
So
exam.
that's his saying. He says, Dean, I'd rather them to be pleasantly surprised than unpleasantly surprised. So yeah, he has somewhere he really does try and make it more difficult or sound more difficult. Put a lot of extraneous information in there, but it's it's tough love. His heart's in the right spot. And the Kaplan Q Bank, I think, particularly on the NASA exams, is the best. There are various ways in which an investment advisor may be compensated for services rendered. All the following would be permitted under the Uniform Securities Act, except
Hourly fees, true. Percent of the average annual assets, 1% of the increase in account value over the next quarter of the asset per quarter, and except average annual assets, 1%. Well, assets under management, like annual average of the assets under management. Okay, so that's acceptable. just the way how it's written, I'm thinking. Percent of the increase in account value. So that's performance.
That's
So
right.
that shouldn't be allowed. So B is in boy.
Good job. Unless they say specifically about that it's okay, then it's not. So good job. Which of the following is most likely to be the most important factor in determining whether market manipulation has occurred?
Most likely factor, the market in which the action took place, the scope of the action, the type of security, the intent of the action. Which of the following is most likely to be the most important factor in determining whether market manipulation? The type of security shouldn't have any impact on
Yeah, put on
that.
your compliance hat.
The scope, whether market most important factor. The market in which the action took place. I don't think so. I'm between B and D. The scope of the action or the intent. Most likely to be the most important factor in terms of whether. Let's go with D, the intent of
I
the
like
action.
that, right? I would think just like if you have a broker in your office, you know, if you're a supervisor and you got that broker in your office, you know, it's not so much what we're worried about. The scope of action is important, but really what was the intent, right? You have a 70-year-old client with a $500,000 whole life insurance policy purchased 25 years ago. The policy currently has a cash value of approximately $150,000. With all the children on their own and successful, the client no longer feels the need for the insurance and asks you if there's any option that might result in netting more than surrendering the policy for its cash value. You might recommend.
Canceling the policy, but leaving the cash value with the insurance company with interest. Using our section 1035 to transfer the cash value into a deferred annuity. Engaging in a life settlement, keeping the policy because the cash value will continue to grow. I don't think that canceling the policy will be the. She just doesn't have a need for anymore, right? The client no longer feels the need for the
Yep,
insurance,
right,
and
yeah.
what's the best? Keeping the policy because the cash value will continue to grow. Engaging in a life settlement if with life settlement.
Yeah, that's called a viatical settlement. Yeah, you know, low probability, but definitely, right? That's where you agree to sign over your insurance policy to someone, they give you some money, and then when they die, you die, they get the money.
Yeah. This one was a little tougher.
Yeah, I think that's tough. It's a low probability, but that's the right answer. It's a life settlement, right? Viatical. A 45-year-old investor takes a lump sum distribution from a non-qualified variable annuity. How is this distribution taxed?
The entire amount is taxed as ordinary income. The growth portion is taxed as ordinary income. The growth portion is taxed as capital gains. There's no capital gains. The growth portion is subject to a 10% penalty. Well, it is a 45-year-old, so that's there. The growth portion is subject to 10% penalty. So that didn't give me too much of a elimination on there.
Well,
just
yeah,
B.
but it's something.
Right. And we know that the growth portion is taxed as a capital gains is not it. So
That's right. That's right.
so that leaves me with the A or C. And the entire amount is taxed as earned income, non-qualified. So it's going to be the entire amount. So 1 and 4. So that's an A.
You missed it. It's not the entire amount because non-qualified means you have a cost basis. What you originally put in there, you're not going to owe taxes on. So it's actually 2 and 4. Right?
Right. No, you got to mark me as wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to mark you wrong. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
No, you did.
Now,
And
if
then,
you would have been read if that was a qualified plan, if that was a tax shelter annuity 403B or 501C, you would have been correct.
Right.
The key word here is non-qualified. So that means you're using after-tax money. Under state law, the
Correct.
registration of an agent of a broker dealer is in effect to,
Until December 31st, unless renewed. C.
right on. Remember, the only registration that isn't December 31st is the registration of a security, which is a year. When
Yeah,
analyzing
right.
a security standard deviation, which of the following statements accurately describes observations according to a normal frequency distribution curve? Oh my.
Mark me wrong. That's one of those. Okay.
Well, remember though, that's what we
Uh,
said. If you're operating from abundance, you actually can you can actually do that as a test taker, right?
right. Approximately 97.5 of all observations will be within 2 standard deviations of either side of the mean. 95.5 will be within 3 standard deviations of the mean. Of all observation will be within 3 standard deviations of the mean. And it's like, I'm trying to think, I think you have described this in one of your lectures as well a bit.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I don't know how I described it. Let's see if I can say it the same way I said in the lecture, but
2 standards. And 3 standard, no. Let's go with A, but I'm not sure.
yeah, I think I describe it as a bell-shaped curve. And so it's that 2/3 there. So you missed it. It's D. It's D.
Okay.
And then another 2 standard deviations out, it would be the 95%. But I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. But if you think of a bell-shaped curved, right? And if you look at it, think of a bell-shaped curve, 2/3 of them would be in there, you know?
Right.
So, if I was a professor and said, I grade on a curve, that may or may not be good depending on what kind of student you are, right? Because I'm telling you now that, there's going to be very few A's and there's going to
Right.
be very few F's, right? Or whatever we call them now, not complete or. An investor holding which of the following securities would not expect a preemptive right? So remember you know what your preemptive right is?
I'm currently drawing my English blank.
That's a right to maintain proportionate ownership. Right to maintain proportionate ownership.
An investor holding which of the following equity securities would not expect? Common stock acquired in a private placement, control stock, preferred stock, not expect. Preferred stock definitely is. Controlled common stock acquired in a private placement. Let's just do D.
That's a
Plain
bad
on
miss
regular.
because preferred stock, you don't have proportionate ownership in the company. All of these other ones, you have proportionate ownership, whether you got the stock in a private placement or control stock or common stock, all of those shareholders have a right to maintain their proportionate ownership. Preferred stock, you do not have equity common stock ownership. So here it's the key is that A, B, and D, you own a proportion of the outstanding shares. You own a proportion of the outstanding shares. You have the right to maintain that proportionate ownership of the outstanding shares, the common. You don't have a right to maintain proportionate ownership in preferred stock.
Got it.
So I think you still are operating from a huge reserve of abundance. If I were
I
in
know,
charge,
but I'd
Prosper-
rather think not in that
no,
direction.
no,
But
no,
like
but
you
I'm
say,
just
keep
so
on.
the investment stuff. So we had a couple of the investment things, but good news, you are really solid on registration and law. So that's going to be very, very helpful to your cause. Under the Uniform Securities Act, an investment advisor's current clients must be delivered a brochure,
Quarterly, if the advisor has both discretion and custody within 48 hours of renewal. Annually, but only if the advisor has neither custody nor discretion. Annually, whether or not the advisor has custody or discretion. Must be the brochure. whether or not the advisor has custody of discretion annually, but only if it's I don't think brochure is on a quarterly basis.
That's true. You're correct.
And 48 hours is not it. Or
That's right. That's correct. So you
Not
got a
for a
50
brochure.
got a 50-50.
Annually, but only if the has neither, but only no. D, annually, whether or not the advisor has custody or discretion.
Excellent.
That only kind of was like, I don't think it's.
No, you're pretty solid on this stuff. Abel Kane is an agent for Garden City Securities, a broker dealer registered with the SEC and all 50 states. It would be considered an unethical or dishonest business practice for Kane to
Fail to make prompt delivery certificates when requested by the customer. Yep. Fail to obtain written authorization for a discretionary account prior to the first trade in the account. Broker dealer. Yep. They don't have that 10-day thing. Accept an order from a client's spouse without written trading authorization prior to receiving an order. Yep. Too many years over here. Share commissions with another agent registered with the Garden City Securities. He can do that. So unethical, 1, 2, and 3. So let's stick with D as in dog.
Yeah, this is one where you're just going to miss it because of our friend Chuck. And what our friend Chuck is going to say is that you as the rep aren't responsible for delivering securities. That would be the, back office that would be responsible for that. So he's looking for 2 and 3. I don't think that's a poor miss. I feel pretty good about that miss, but it's what Chuck is looking for here is 2 and 3. Your advisory client is an 86-year-old woman who is presently in the hospital, unable to communicate due to a severe stroke. For the past 6 years, she has followed the practice of making annual gifts of stock to her children and grandchildren on her birthday. Because her 87th is coming up later this month, her oldest son approaches you and asks you to continue the policy.
No can do, buddy. Let's just find the right answer.
I like that. I call that trick projecting the right answer. So it's a test taker. No can do, buddy. I like it. Now you got to find the thing that says what in legalese in Chucky's. It says it like Chucky's.
You may only follow the provision of her will. With 6 years of provision, this is what she would want you to do. So no, without a proper durable power of attorney, you cannot do anything through that. And will, she hasn't died yet, so we're not executors of the will. You should go to the hospital and seek if she can blink her eyes. Blink once for yes. We're gonna do with without a proper durable power of attorney.
Durable power of attorney.
Do anything.
She can make decisions if she's incapacitated, like she presently is. If it's not durable, that means we don't have power of attorney if she's done that. I remember now they have a thing called spring power of attorney, where we don't have a power of attorney, but if she's in the hospital and, as we have a spring power of attorney that says under these circumstances, we can make decisions, well, then that would work too. Which of the following orders may be used to acquire a security at a specified price or better? A specified price or better.
A buy stop limit, a buy limit, a sell stop, and a sell limit. I know like a sell stop is to prevent you from like a loss. However, is that a better? The acquired to security a specific price. Used to acquire security at a specific price or better. A buy limit. Well, limit will give us that specific price. Better. Sell at that price, no other. I stopped limited by B as in boy.
So we're acquiring the stock, right? We're acquiring the stock, and so we need to buy, and then limit means my price or better, and so you are correct. We're trying to buy the stock at our price or better, whether it trades through out or through the stop or just out of the gate. We want it at our price or less. Good job. Jim Contori is a 45-year-old client with a $1.5 million portfolio that is heavily weighted toward equities. Contori will continue working for the next 20 years and has a substantial retirement portfolio through his current employer. Contori's 3 children are now nearing college age and will all attend premier universities in the US, which cost $50,000 per year to attend. All college expenses will be paid out of Contori's portfolio. Contori should
Not rebalance his portfolio because his children should all pay their own way through school. Hey, sometimes when you give children everything, they don't know how to appreciate it.
I'm
But
with you.
that's not the question.
I'm with you.
Rebalance his portfolio towards aggressive small cap stock because he needs to increase the return of his portfolio to cover the upcoming college expense. Rebalance his portfolio toward large cap common stock and international securities because the education costs are highly correlated with the returns of those securities. Rebalance his portfolio toward high quality intermediate term debt instruments to service the expected liquidity needs of his portfolio. That heavily weighted towards equities nearing the age. Now the portfolio. So obviously A is not the case.
That's right.
Intermediate term debt instruments to serve as the expected liquidity. But investing in a debt does not necessarily provide liquidity. But in intermediate term. Rebalance his portfolio towards large cap common stock and international securities because education costs are highly correlated with those returns. Because he needs to increase the return of his portfolio to cover the upcoming college expenses. Not sure on this one, so I'm going to say B as in boy.
Yeah, you missed it. You missed it. So small caps, is that what you said? B as in boy?
Yeah.
Well, that's a bad miss because small cap would be very aggressive. And so we should know small caps isn't where he's going. If anything, right, he wants to take that down a notch because he's going to need the money. So the answer here is that we go intermediate on the bonds as they come due. That would provide the liquidity. Right. So, and bond market is more liquid than the stock market in general. So you actually missed that one. That's a pretty bad miss because if we're talking college education, we wouldn't say aggressive small cap unless this is the kids are just not born, it's their UPMA account or something. Right. So I don't know how you got that small cap thing going, but these are all judgment questions. Those are tough ones. Those are tough ones. The Uniform Securities Act authorizes the state administrator to acquire or to require
either oral or written qualification examination of investment advisor representatives and officers of investment advisor partnerships or corporations. Officers of investment advisor to pass a qualification examination. An application for initial registration to publish an announcement of the application in one or more specified newspaper published in the state. Investment advisor representative to pass a qualification examination. So all C.
Excellent. You're good on that stuff. I mean, you got the law and registration down, my friend. That you got
I know,
down.
but that's only like 40% of the
Well,
exam. Like
you're still doing good on the
60%.
others. You've got a couple of glitches, but you're still good. I think I'd be surprised we don't have a good score going. I think you got a pretty good score going. We'll figure this out.
Let's see. Yeah.
I don't think you're at risk as your tutor. I think you're fine. So a customer's portfolio has a beta coefficient of 1.1. If the overall market increases by 10%, the portfolio's value is likely to.
Well, it's going to increase.
That's correct.
So that's for sure. And this is 10. So increased by 11%.
Yeah, I love how you went there. You don't even have to do the math. You were right on the track. You said, okay, well, it's not decreasing, it's increasing, and one would be 10, so it's got to be that. Boom. Excellent. An investment advisor may state which of the following in the investment advisory contract.
The advisory contract may only be assigned by another party after adequate compensation. The investment advisor may be compensated on the basis of capital gains, providing assets in the accounts are below. Okay. The advisor may be compensated on the basis of a reasonable share of the capital gains. The advisory contract may only be assigned to another party with the consent of the client. Ding, 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 ding. D.
There you go. There you go. A broker dealer holds fully paid for securities for safekeeping. Under the North American Security Administrator Association Statement of Policy on Unethical and Dishonest Business Practices of Broker Dealers and Agents, the broker dealer.
A broker dealer holds fully paid for customer securities for safekeeping under unethical. The broker dealer must segregate them, would be in violation unless a properly executed margin agreement was in effect, must pay interest to the clients, may lend them to make delivery on short sales. Well, if the clients signed and when they did their margin agreements, they signed the lending, may lend them to make delivery. But okay, hold on. Under the broker dealer may lend them to make the delivery on short sales. Wait, no. Must be interested in clients. That's not it. Fully paid customer securities would be in violation unless a properly executed margin agreement was in effect. Like broker dealer doesn't have to segregate the securities. They can have them pulled, and then, I mean, at least that's what I'm talking out of my experience working for a broker dealer.
Well,
But
the broker dealer must. Right. So we have
yeah.
must and we have would.
Yeah, would be in violation.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're struggling with this because you said this earlier and you were spot on. I think you're overthinking it.
Probably. My lending to make delivery on short sales. Let's go with D. D is a dog.
Yeah, you missed it because loan consent form is optional. Maybe if I added some more verbiage to this, I know you know this because you said it like 3 times over the course of the last couple of hours. We can commingle customer securities. We have to have 2 vaults, 1 vault for customer securities and 1 vault for the broker dealer securities. And so the answer was A. And maybe you just knew too much for your own good there in your own brain housing group thinking,
Yeah.
I can commingle customer securities. And I don't even like that word commingle. It just means we can have a customer vault. And then you said lend them to make delivery on short sales. We can't do that unless we have you have given me the loan consent form. So that was when you should have missed based on, I know you know that. And that could have been just phraseology from our friend Chuck. But I think you would have got that.
Like you said before, don't add things into the question that
don't bring stuff
don't
in
exist
question.
there.
That's right. Because if they meant that, they'd say that, right? What if they meant they don't? Market interest rates rise by 50 basis points. If each of these bonds has about the same maturity date, which of the following would decline least?
So long and low, it's just, I'm just talking out loud, right?
Yeah, long and low, but remember this says least, so it's the opposite.
Least, right. So if each of these bonds have about the same maturity date, okay, treasury bond issued at par, carrying 6%, treasury bond issued at par carrying 7%, corporate bond carrying 7%, and corporate bond carrying 6%. Decline the least. So same maturity date, so low, but it has to be the opposite. But so either B or C, but
You're correct. You're correct. You got a 50-50.
It's the only thing. If each of these bonds have about the same maturity, which of them would be declined the least? The par is the key here that I think is, par the least. Darn it. Well, let's B, treasury bond.
I like it. Now, so what I would do there is, you got it right. I like to think of it as, okay, they're asking me which of these would be the most desirable. Right? And most
The reason
desirable,
why I ended up going with treasury bond is treasury bond is more secure than the
you're
corporate
absolutely
bond.
correct. You're absolutely correct. That's exactly why. So given that you have the choice between holding a corporate bond in your account or a treasury bond, and they have the same coupon, you're absolutely correct. That logic is exactly correct. One reason for including commodities in an investment portfolio is because they have a high correlation to,
The inflation rate.
yeah, right on, right on. Good job. A 50-year-old client with modest means wants to construct an investment program. He has no investment experience. His major consideration is saving for retirement, and he has limited risk tolerance. Which of the following would you recommend? Which of the following would you recommend?
So he wants to construct an investment program. Saving for retirement as limited risk to tolerance. High grade bond. That's going to give him income, but he needs to actually make more. Aggressive growth, mutual funds. He's got a few years left, but not that many.
Yeah, no more
Call
penny stocks,
options.
right? So,
Yeah. Call options on S&P. I mean, if he had it, I think I'm gonna go with D. He needs to grow
you are
some
correct.
capital
You are correct.
and then get some income
Excellent.
from.
Excellent. Which of the following plans does not allow a catch-up contributions for individuals who are at least 50 years old?
IRA does. 529. 529, they have to use it before they actually turn 50. So 529A.
Excellent. Good job. Excellent. Excellent.
Isn't
If
it
a new
like
joint
by the
tenant,
age of 35 for
yeah,
529?
yeah. If a new joint tenants with rights or survivors account is opened by two related individuals, all the following statements are true, except all the following are true, except.
Mail may be sent to either party. Checks may be drawn in either name. That's definitely not it. They have to be written in both names. Let's see what else. Order may be given by the party. That's true. In the event of death, the deceased in interest in the account goes to the party. That's true. So checks, they have to be in
Yeah, that's
both
true of all of them.
names.
That's very testable, right? Checks are drawn to the title of the account. So wherever the account reads, that's how checks get cut. Excellent. A grandparent wishes to contribute funds to an account for the benefit of the college education of a grandkid. And which of the following does the donor have the greatest amount of control over the assets in the account?
Coverdell, it's theirs. 529 is theirs. Once given, no takes these back. The UGMA, UGMA, D.
Well, not, you got that wrong, because remember, when the kid reaches the age of majority, he gets the money.
It gets the money. Right. So
It's the 529,
529.
right? So it's the 529 gives you
They
more control.
have control. That's right.
Yeah, so
Because I'm
529,
thinking like
almost always they're looking for 529 as the right answer on your exam.
I'm thinking like on the portion of revocable, but that was not the question.
Yeah, well, I told you, you know, that's what you get for being a smart lady. I mean, you know, it's going to cost you a couple points. You're going to get more for that than you lose, but you know, it's like I say, it's a champagne problem. And you're pretty on the stuff you're solid on, you're really solid. So as a bond's duration changes,
Its maturity date changes, its rating might be affected. That has nothing to do with that. Its sensitivity to changes in interest rate changes. The income received by the bondholder changes. the sensitivity to the interest rate.
Yeah, right
So
on. That's
C.
what that is. That's the definition of it, right?
Yeah.
Your client with 100,000 to invest is looking for maximum current income. Which of the following would offer the highest current return?
100,000 to invest, maximum current income. 0 coupon bond with a yield of 6. Corporate bond trading at par. Highest current return. Market value of corporate bonds selling at a premium at yield 6. Utility common stock paying a current yield of maximum income. Zero coupon bond would only give him
That's right.
interest,
So that's
but
out.
no payment.
That's
Yeah,
exactly right. So that goes poof.
that goes away.
Yeah.
Corporate bond trading at par. Okay, it would only give him what he invested plus the interest. Okay. Market value corporate selling at premium, so he'd have to pay more. Usually utility common stocks are I don't want to say usually, but I'm gonna go with D.
Well, this is a really bad miss for not reading the question. He doesn't have 200,000.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that is crazy because the answer is C.
Yeah, it is. Let's see.
Oh no.
So you should have been able to toss out A and D. Should have gone poof, right?
Ah,
Should have gone poof.
oh,
So,
stupid.
sorry, I got to mark you wrong.
Yeah. I do have a bunch of like those,
Well, that's
and
okay. Like I
you
said, we're gonna
always
get the
say it,
score.
this
I
is
really
a
still
reading test.
don't
This is
beat
a
yourself
reading
up.
test.
Don't beat yourself up. You think you're on track. You know, and by the way, we're
Whoever's
doing
going to
this.
be watching this, they're going to be laughing their
Well, and
behinds off. Like
no.
seriously.
And remember, we're tired. We've been at it a while, so just make sure too on the real test. Just about a third every third. Just take a mental trip to Tahiti, come back, and just okay, close strong. Like we're at question 87. We want to finish strong. Under the North American Securities Administrator Association model rule on unethical business practices of investment advisors, investment advisor representatives, and federally covered advisors, which of the following must be included in the investment advisory contract?
The formula used to determine the investment advisor's compensation, a statement of the discretionary authority, if any, given to the investment advisor, a statement that the investment advisor may sign the contract without the consent of the client. That's definitely not it. That cannot be there. So the only option is actually B, 1 and 2.
Back on track. Good from bad test taker to good test taker. By the way, that's very testable too, that you can't, that's called a hedge clause, that you can't put something into a contract that, says something that contradicts, the policy statement, right? So nailed it quickly. I love it. You're right back where you need to be. An investment advisor has a primary office in state A. They have branches in state B and C, and they advertise in states D, E, and F. What net capital requirements must they meet?
Where its principal office is located, A.
Right on. Good job. Excellent. You are so solid on that registration stuff. Among the characteristics of exchange traded funds, what distinguishes them? Which distinguish them from mutual funds? What distinguishes them from mutual funds?
Their NAV is computed daily. They're traded on listed exchanges. They're registered with the SEC. Their portfolio may be designed to mimic an index, which distinguishes them. D, their portfolio may be designed to mimic an index.
Well, remember, among the characteristics of ETFs, you just gave me the characteristics, but that wasn't the question. The question was, what distinguishes them from a mutual fund? Right? We have mutual funds that mimic an index. That's not something that's different from an ETF and a mutual fund. You can buy.
Distinguish them because they're demand and the other
they're
thing.
traded. Supply and demand. That's right. The answer here was
supply.
D.
I can never know that. Like I know what it is, but the word supply I can never remember. Demand I do.
Secondary market. So the answer is B. So that, so just be careful. So distinguish means difference. What's the difference? Under Uniform Securities Act, which of the following statements is true? Which of the following statements is true?
It is unlawful for anyone to conduct business as a broker dealer in a state unless also registered as an agent. The broker dealer in a state unless, okay. A registration statement may be filed by an issuer itself, a broker dealer, or any other person on whose behalf the offering is to be made. That is true. A registration of an agent is not effective when the agent is not associated with the broker dealer registered under the act. Yep, you have to work for somebody. Registration is not effective. Yeah. Registrations are automatically renewed 1 year after approval, provided no violations occur during the year. That is definitely not true. So 4 and 4 is out. So A and C are options, but a registration statement may be filed by an issuer itself, broker dealer, and a person whose behalf. Yeah, that's true. And registration of an agent is not effective when the agent is not associated with a broker dealer. 2 and 3. So A.
Excellent. You are so solid on this stuff. You are solid. Traders in stock index options are exposed to.
Traders in stock index option. Systematic risk.
Yeah, that kind of funky way to say it, but yeah, exactly right.
Market risk.
Yep. Under the NASA model rule of custody requirements for investment advisors, an investment advisor would be permitted to maintain custody of customer cash and securities if
permission was obtained from the administrator and custody was not prohibited by the state's rule. The AI maintains net worth of at least 10. No, it's got to go more than that. Notification was given to the administrator and custody was not prohibited by that state's rules. Customer permission was obtained prior to entering into the contract. So it's either A or C, but just the wording.
Yeah.
Notification was given to the administrator and custody was not prohibited. Permission was obtained. C, notification was given to the administrator and custody was not prohibited.
Excellent. ABC Securities, a registered broker-dealer, has a wholly owned subsidiary, ABC Real Estate Ventures. ABC Real Estate Ventures is in the business of structuring limited partnership offerings designed to afford qualified investors an opportunity to earn income from commercial property. If an agent representing ABC Securities were to recommend one of these programs to a qualified client,
it would be necessary to obtain consent of the agent's supervisor. The agent would be engaging in an unethical business practice. Disclosure of the potential conflict of interest must be made. A sale could not take place without a review by the firm's compliance officer. They're doing a business structure offering designed to offer qualified investors an opportunity to earn income in the commercial. Even though they're all fully owned. It still has to have a disclosure. So yes, disclosure of a potential conflict of interest. C.
Man, I'm telling you, you got a future in law. You got it. Based on Investment Advisor Act of 1940, which of the following would be excluded from the definition of an investment advisor?
A lawyer who advertises financial planning services, person whose advice relates solely to government securities, an accountant who receives separate fees for providing investment advice. So it says, which of the following would be excluded? A lawyer advertising financial planning, he's got to get paid. So he's not it. He is an investment advisor. An accountant, it's not incidental. He provided for fees. So 2 only. I mean, man, A.
That is awesome, man. That's when you're on, you are on. That was perfect. That was perfect. Under the Uniform Securities Act, which of the following are grounds for suspension, denial, or revocation of an issuer's registration statement?
Of an issuer. Okay. Information in a registration statement is incomplete. Unreasonable compensation to the underwriters, failure to pay filing fees, the security is subject to an administrator. All of it.
Yeah, man, give us a bunch of those. Yeah, there's a bunch of those. A registered investment advisor in his financial planning practice recommends and sells proprietary products offered through a broker dealer affiliated with his investment advisory firm. All the following statements are true, except
The advisor may collect fees for investment advice and commission for executing trades. True, okay. The advisor must receive a signed statement from the customer that authorizes his practice before collecting any payment. Nah. The practice is ethical if full disclosure is made to the client. That's true. The advisor must state that the client may be subject to certain limitation because of its arrangement. Yeah, that's true too. So the except would be the advisor does not have to get a signed statement. So B as a boy.
excellent, man, excellent. A client is risk averse and planning on retiring in 16 years. The client is rolling over 100,000 from his 401k plan, all of which is currently invested in his former employer's stock. As the client's investment advisor, which of the following would you recommend? Which of the following would you recommend?
Highly rated preferred stock paying liberal dividends. Zero coupon bonds maturing in 16 years, lathering US Treasury bills, keeping the money in the employer stock. He was rolling over from his plan. Dude, you need some diversification, I would think. So I don't think that keeping the employer stock would be the solution.
you're correct.
So I would
You're
take the D out.
I think that's a good way to move. So you got 1 and 3.
And he needs, he is risk averse. Okay, he
That's
has some
important.
time. Prefer stock paying liberal dividends. Zero. I think the most money for his buck. Oh shoot. Laddering. I think laddering would be the one, but zero coupon, it won't give him much. Rated preferred stock. He gets dividends, but I will go with C.
You missed it. It's B. T-bills, the zero
Even
coupons
though
are
it's
going
a
to give
zero
him more.
coupon.
Yeah, they're going to give him more than the treasury bills because the treasury bills don't have any coupons either, right?
Right.
So, and then anytime you see like liberal dividends, you could toss that out too. So you got to the 50-50. And again, these are suitability judgment questions. So, I miss them all the time because it's, depends on who wrote the question and what they're looking at. Wealth Funders and Associates is a state registered investment advisor organized as a partnership. The firm has had 5 equal partners since its inception. However, with the retirement of one of the partners and the need for additional capital, Wealth Funders Associates has added 3 new partners. As a result of this activity, WFA
will now be required to register with the SEC, shall notify clients of the change to the partnership within a reasonable time, is considered to have a signed client contract and must obtain their consent, shall renew its registration promptly. They need to notify, shall notify clients of the change of the partnership within a reasonable time. So B.
You're correct. Excellent. All the following statements regarding an account registered as tenants in common is true, except
Registered tenants in common. This form of registration is less common for a married couple than joint with the rights of survivorship. Co-tenants can own an equal percentage of these assets in the account. That's true. Upon the death of one of the co-tenants, the individual's share of the account passes to the survivor. No. Each co-tenant has an undivided interest in the entire account. True, except upon the death of one of the co-tenant, the individual share of the account passes to the survivors. Oh, okay. It didn't say to the other person. It said to the survivors. Okay. Tenants in common can own an equal. That's true. This form is less common. has an individual interest, undivided interest in the entire account. For married couples. I mean, that's true. So that's not it. I think D, because if they have opportunity to have unequal percentages of the assets, why would they have undivided interest?
This is a bad miss. You should know the decedent share goes to the estate or beneficiary. It doesn't go to the surviving party. That's joint tenants.
My survivor in my head, the survivor was the beneficiary, but it was not.
Oh yeah, well, like we said, this
is
is
the beneficiary.
Yeah, that's okay. We've talked about it before, but no, it's C. Remember, with joint tenants with the rights or survivorship, that would have been true. With tenants in common, that is not true. That is not true. A major benefit of a revocable trust is
the settlor cannot also be the beneficiary. The grantor saves on income taxes. The assets are not included in the grantor's estate. The grantor retains control of the assets. Revocable trust. The grantor saves on income taxes. That's not it.
That's correct.
It's
not correct.
The settlers cannot also be a beneficiary. That's not either. So A and B is out.
You're correct.
The assets are not included in the grantor's estate. Well, no, they are.
Yeah.
The benefit is it's retained control. So D.
Excellent. I love how you attack that. I like how you did it. Okay, you ready for our submit? Woo!
Let's see.
78. That's awesome. That's a great score.
I will take that.
Yeah, you should take that. That is a great score, my friend. As your tutor, I think no worries. I didn't see anything there that I think is material to you not getting your P, your pass. And so that's excellent. We did go over it as we went along. So I have to.
Because the previous one you and I did was 68. So
yeah, no, great improvement. So two things. Our viewers, thank you for allowing them to go on this ride with you over the last couple hours plus. And we also have to give a thanks or shout out to Kaplan for allowing us to have access to the QBank. And I want to say very pleased that I think you're as most squared away as I've ever had as a tutor of somebody on the registration and law. On that part, I mean,
thank you.
Yeah, that's about half of it. Now, some of these ones I was with you on the suitability judgment questions, those are always going to tend to be 50-50s just because that's the nature of the beast, so to speak. So, I wouldn't worry too much about that. So